All right, it's a new year, so you know what that means. We're going to be getting a ton of new horror releases, and today I'm going to be ranking my 5 most anticipated horror releases for 2024. All right, starting us off at number 5 is going to be the untitled Jordan Peele movie, and I would have had this way higher if we had a little bit more information about the movie, and I know some people are probably not even including this on their list just because there's so little information about it, but I am just so confident in what Jordan Peele does up to this point and how passionate he is in the horror genre. He knows the genre in and out. He knows the different ways to make things new and fresh and just kind of make a new approach. He's so passionate about filmmaking as well. So I'm pretty confident that no matter what he comes out with in 2024, it's going to be something with a new kind of fresh, unique approach. Even if the movie flops, it's probably going to have some stuff in it that we've never seen before. So, like I said, if there was some more information about this movie, it'd probably be a lot higher on this list. Definitely a top 3 in my opinion, if we just had a little bit of information. But regardless, I'm going to have Jordan Peele's newest movie, which is going to be coming out in 2024, at number 5 as my 5th most anticipated horror movie of 2024. All right, up next as my 4th most anticipated horror movie of 2024 is going to be Saw 11, which is set to come out in theaters sometime towards the end of September. So Saw X was a pretty big hit. A lot of people consider it either their favorite Saw movie in the entire franchise or one of the best in the entire franchise. So the new, fresh, unique approach that they took in Saw X, I'm sure they're going to piggyback that into Saw 11 as well. We've also got some characters that are going to be returning most likely in Saw 11 as well. Not to spoil anything from Saw X, but Saw X was an interesting one. I mean, we had just a different approach to what they normally do in the Saw franchise. We're mainly following John Kramer in that movie. It's more of an emotional story following this guy who's being abused, he's going through this massive scam, and you end up kind of empathizing for John Kramer more than you ever have previously in the franchise. Before in the franchise, there were moments where you empathize with Jigsaw, and you kind of like saw the people had something coming to them. But typically it was, John Kramer heard about something they did in public. Maybe they had some charges against them or something like that. And he wanted to kind of, punish them or make them kind of reconsider the path that they're going down. But no, in this one, people are doing some horrible shit to an old guy. So when you see these people in Saw X in the traps, these terrible things happening to them, you're kind of like, well, you kind of had that coming because you are definitely a piece of shit. So you definitely empathize with John Kramer in the story. And it definitely, puts him just at the center stage of the whole movie. So I expect him to be a huge part, like he has previously, but a huge part in Saw 11, in my opinion. But I'm looking forward to it. Saw X was one of my favorite movies in 2023. As far as horror goes, for sure. Really enjoyed Saw X. It's not my favorite Saw movie in the franchise from the Saw movies that I've seen, but I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed the new, fresh approach. So I'm looking forward to Saw 11 for sure towards the end of September. And that is my 4th most anticipated horror movie of 2024. All right, up next at number 3 is going to be Terrifier 3, which is set to come out October 25th. So my relationship with the Terrifier franchise is kind of a little bit of a weird one in a way. The first movie, clearly, a low budget movie, a way to kind of showcase Damien Leone's practical effects, which are really damn good. But as far as storyline, acting, the other things, the set, the area, the locations where you're at in the movie, really not much there, other than the kind of shock factor in gore. But they were able to piggyback that into a second movie, which ended up being very, very successful. Part of that definitely had to do with just the amount of like social media coverage that it got from people fainting or whatever the hell they were doing from just the ridiculous amount of gore in the movie. But the second movie gave us a great final girl, one of the better final girls of the last several years in horror for sure. A better cast, not a great cast. There's still some dicey acting in the second movie for sure, but amazing practical effects once again. Some of the best practical effects of the last several years for sure. And plus, just love to see, anytime they're pushing the practical side of horror and gore and things like that. But still, the kind of main niche of the second movie, in my opinion, is still just kind of that shock factor. How much gore can you show, really? But One problem I had with the second movie that I'm hoping that they'll do a better job of in the third movie is I feel like the second movie, yes, there was a ton of gore, but in my opinion, it was really just mutilation in a way. They weren't really unique kills that were interesting or funny or really creative, in my opinion. It's just kind of, like I said, mutilation. It's just like, ripping things off here, just doing this that's painful. I like when my gore is practical, unique, sometimes funny, and it's just something that you see and you say, damn, I have never seen that before. And yes, you could say in Terrifier 2, you'd never seen that before because they just took it to a different level. But I'm referring to kind of the, how it all goes down with the gore and the kills in the movie. I hope they come up with some more creative circumstances how everything goes about. So definitely looking forward to that. And I fully expect they're going to have way more money for the third movie. So they're going to be able to invest that into the cast, into the sets, into practical effects even more. So I do have some faith in the team for sure that they're going to be able to kind of, take that leap from the first movie to the second movie and then take more of a leap to the third movie. So am I really, really interested in seeing a lot of the stuff with the entire backstory? Some of it, yes. Some of it, no. I am definitely interested in seeing Art the Clown again. Art the Clown is one of the best villains we've seen in horror in several years, for sure. I think that's a little bit that's not even almost debatable at this point. He's a great villain, definitely a solid one in the horror genre for sure. But I am interested definitely in learning more about Art the Clown, where he came from, just what he's doing. What's his purpose here? Is he just like a shark who just kind of just kills anyone in his way? What's going on with Sienna's dad? Is Sienna's dad linked to Art the Clown in some ways that we're not really sure about? I think there's definitely some interesting stuff there that they're probably going to explore. I will be very disappointed in Terrifier 3 if we don't get more about that and they leave it very, very loose. I think it's about time we get some information about what the hell is going on here. So Terrifier 3 is supposedly supposed to be a Christmas movie. We saw that little teaser trailer, which looks pretty damn brutal. Yes, if something happens to the little kid that goes a little bit too far, it might be a movie that ends up being one of my most disappointing movies of the year. But I am interested in seeing what the team behind Terrifier 2 can do in the third movie with more money, more interest from the public and things like that. So excited that we're getting another Christmassy type of a movie. Kind of funny that it's being released in October, but I get it. Definitely interested in seeing what the team can do. Like I said, Terrifier is something, it's kind of a franchise that's a little hit or miss for me so far. But I do see enough there that they have potential to do something pretty damn good. Hopefully they don't push too many things that I don't really enjoy. But anyways, Terrifier 3 coming in right there as my third most anticipated horror movie of 2024. All right, coming up next as my second most anticipated horror movie of 2024 is going to be Alien Romulus, which is set to come out sometime in the middle of August at this point in time. So similar to Saw X, Alien Romulus is going to take place between the first and the second movies in the franchise. Obviously, both iconic movies for sure. The original Alien, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, bar none. One of the greatest sci-fi movies and sci-fi horror movies ever made. The second movie, a James Cameron movie. The first one, Ridley Scott, I'll mention his name more in just a second. But the second movie, a James Cameron movie. So bigger, flashier, more of an action movie in a way, but a great movie. Both movies with different tones, but very, very good. So I'm excited to see what they do with this story kind of spliced in between those two timelines in a way. So this one's going to be produced by Ridley Scott. So I'm excited that he's got, a little bit of a finger on this new movie. It's going to have a little bit of an influence on there. One thing that I'm a little bit skeptical about is Alien, to me, has always been one of the more adult franchises in horror in a way. Usually the characters, most of them are adult. There's a lot of dark, gritty, adult type things happening on the screen. But with this new movie, most of the cast that I've seen so far are really, really young. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm a little bit weary about that in a way. I'm kind of interested to see where they go with that. This is something a little bit different. It might end up being really, really good, but I just wanted to kind of point that out a little bit. But I'm a sucker for alien movies, love the first and second one, so I'm really, really interested in seeing what they do, kind of putting this movie in between the timeline of the first and second movie. But yeah, really, really excited for this. I know a lot of people probably don't even have this in their top 3 most anticipated horror movies, but because I am such a big fan of the franchise and such a big fan of sci-fi horror, definitely looking forward to Alien Romulus as my second most anticipated horror movie of 2024. All right, now before I give you my most anticipated horror movie of 2024, I want to give you a couple honorable mentions, which are going to be Beetlejuice 2. It's been a long time since we've gotten the original Beetlejuice, and it's just a movie that I grew up on as a kid, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I don't have a lot of things to say about it, but I'm just looking forward to seeing what they do with the new movie for sure. Now, keep in mind, I have not seen A Quiet Place. I have not seen Smile. Those are a couple movies a lot of people are really, really excited for. I haven't seen the originals. I will. I'll get around to that before those new ones come out, but I haven't seen them yet, so those aren't on my list for that reason. I'm also looking forward to, though, Shelby Oaks, which is Chris Stuckman's new movie, which is pretty much done, but it's set to come out sometime in the fall. So really excited to see what Chris Stuckman can do as a director. If you don't know who Chris Stuckman is, he's a movie reviewer essentially on YouTube. He's had, a very long and amazing career on YouTube reviewing movies, just a big part of the space here. So it's always cool to see somebody on, coming from the YouTube kind of niche and moving into actually doing something that they really, really love and breaking down that barrier between the normal people in Hollywood, you know what I mean? Which has been happening. We saw that with Talk to Me, which is amazing. So really looking forward to seeing what Chris Stuckman does with his new movie, Shelby Oaks, like I said, coming out later this fall. All right, now my most anticipated horror movie of 2024 is going to be Ty West's Maxxxine, which is apparently supposed to come out sometime in September. It's going to have a new addition like Kevin Bacon in the movie, but essentially this follows Maxxxine after the massacres that happened, in X. Pearl is a different thing, but in X, we are now going to be in the early 1980s following Maxxxine as she's moved to Los Angeles and she's trying to get into Hollywood. So if you don't know much about Ty West's franchise here, this is the third and final movie, Maxxxine. But anyways, the franchise started off in 2022, I believe in March, with X, which is essentially about a group filming a porn. They go to this farm. It's kind of like an Airbnb, but it's in the 70s. Has definitely a Texas Chainsaw kind of a look, kind of a feel to it. But this group, they go out there to film this, to try to break into Hollywood, become big things. And little do they know the evil that is on that farm. And X is easily one of my favorite horror movies that has came out in years. I love X. The replayability for X is so high for me. The gore in that movie is incredible. The moments where people die is super shocking. There's some serious tension in that movie. I mean, just think about the alligator scene when she's swimming in the water. There's basically no music. The way it's shot, it's so tense. Really, really loved what Ty West did in X. Like I said, one of my favorite horror movies that has came out in years. Great characters, a great underlying theme just about age, getting older. One of the best movies I've ever seen that has touched on that aspect of it. Definitely makes you feel something for sure. I mean, Mia Goth is in the movie, playing both Pearl and Maxxxine in the movie, which is incredible. I mean, her performance in the movie is just, it's insane. And then shortly after that, I believe in September of 2022, we got Pearl, which was essentially a prequel to X, showing how Pearl became so fucked up, essentially. And Pearl, I'm not as high on Pearl as I was on X. X kind of gives me everything that I want. It gives me fun dialogue, fun characters, great kills, great shots, things like that. Pearl was a little bit more serious, but very, very well done. Definitely a little bit more of a slow burn. X is a slow burn for sure, but Pearl even more so in a way. But Pearl, essentially, if I remember correctly, takes place right around World War I. Her husband or fiance is away at war, and she's kind of navigating life, and she's figuring out that she has some things with her that are just a little bit different than the average person. And Pearl's really starting to find out about herself, that she's got some evil within her that her mother was nice enough to remind her of throughout the movie. But incredible acting in Pearl. Like I said, I wasn't as high on Pearl as I was on X. Pearl to me kind of almost felt like it should have been a short story, but it was kind of stretched out into a feature. But especially the last act of Pearl, really enjoyed it. There's some moments that are just incredible. When Pearl comes out of the farmhouse with the axe, that single shot where she's chasing the girl and just kind of like stalking her down like a Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees type of a character. That's an amazing shot. One of the better like sequences we've seen, in my opinion, in horror in a couple of years. I mean, that would, be pretty high up on that list. But so Pearl's got some great things about it. But my point is, Ty West has already shown some incredible things that he's able to do with these movies. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does in a Hollywood setting in the 80s with Maxxxine back again. I just can't wait to see what that cast does. Kevin Bacon thrown into the mix, I think as a private investigator or something. But yes, Maxxxine, definitely my most anticipated horror movie of 2024. All right, everybody, there you go. Those are my 5 most anticipated horror movies of 2024 ranked. Let me know down in the comments down below what your most anticipated horror movies of 2024 are. Would love to read those. I read every single comment that I get. I try to respond to every single comment as well. So let me know down below. Make sure you subscribe. Check out one of these videos next to me if you want more content from me right now. But anyways, everybody, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.